Right, let's get into the issues around the Pacific Island Forum. They're all there, the 18 member countries in Suva, but for the United States. But I'll come back to that. First face-to-face meeting we've had in 3 years. Kiribati announced overnight, though, that they wouldn't go to Fiji and that they would indeed withdraw from the forum. Let's bring my guests now to discuss this and all the rest of the day's news. From Canberra, Sky News Brisbane Bureau Chief Adam Walters, and from Melbourne, Weekend Chief of Staff of the Herald Sun, Caleb Bond. Gentlemen, welcome. I've got a busy list of issues to get through. I want to start, though, with this Pacific Island Forum, Adam. Kiribati doesn't turn up. Talk is that China has got in their ear and they've withdrawn from the forum, not just this immediate meeting. For all the talk about climate change, the real elephant in the room is China, isn't it?
There's no doubt about it, and it just makes you bemused about Penny Wong's comments yesterday from the Foreign Minister when she insisted that climate change was going to be the big issue. But Kamala Harris certainly put a stop to that with her video intervention to the forum today. She was basically grabbing the spotlight, the centre stage, to make no secret of the fact that the United States belatedly is extremely worried about the infiltration of China into the small but strategic Pacific Island economies. And you've got to wonder why, Peter, it's taken so long for the sleeping giant, the United States, to pay attention when you consider there's 55 million Americans living on the shores of the Pacific Ocean in California, Oregon, Washington State, Alaska, and of course Hawaii. And the Vice President basically made the admission today, she conceded that it has been overdue, the increase in the presence of the United States in the region.
Yeah, but Adam, why didn't she turn up? I mean, she just joined the meeting by Zoom. If it is important, the Pacific to the United States, and I agree with you, absolutely, it is, why didn't she turn up?
Good point. A very good point. As I mentioned, I mean, if the United States is not a key stakeholder in the affairs of the Pacific Ocean, when 55 million Americans are living on the shores of it, I mean, it's a no-brainer. And you've just got to wonder whether the indifference of the Biden administration is bordering on neglect when it comes to foreign policy in this region.
All right, let me play a grab from Labor's new Minister for the Pacific, Peta Credlin. Have a listen.
Well, I think we obviously welcome increasing dialogue with China, but it is important that we meet with their ministers. The Deputy Prime Minister has done so with his defence counterpart, and it's very pleasing that Foreign Minister Wong has done so as well.
Now, I've always thought this bloke wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, Caleb, but he's out there today and clearly he hasn't read his briefing notes. He's talking about partnering with China to build infrastructure in the region. That's the whole reason we're all up in arms about Belt and Road. We don't want Chinese infrastructure in the region. I mean, he's a goose.
Amazing, isn't it? I mean, why would we give an inch to a country that has, over the last few years, absolutely flogged us because we had the temerity to stand up to them and their response to COVID and their irresponsibility in letting it out into the rest of the world? And what we have not seen throughout all of this process is the rest of the West backing us up. And I've talked about this ad nauseum, but at the same time, as we have lost billions of dollars in revenue in Australia in former exports to China, the rest of the West, the US, New Zealand, Canada, the UK, have all increased their exports to China. They have benefited from the losses that we have incurred for daring to stand up to them. So it's about time the rest of the West actually got involved in the issue of the Pacific. We're only a nation of 25 billion people. There's only so much we can do. But when you've got one hand of the government saying one thing and the other hand doing the other, you know, oh, we're going to go off and have constructive discussions about what's going on here. But at the same time, let's build things with them. It really does not bode well for foreign policy. I have to say what Labor's done so far in the Pacific has been great, but this is just ridiculous.